let's create components transaction history.tsx. So let's create the transaction history component. So in our terminal, we run touch components slash transaction history .tsx. So this will keep the issue of transactions that have taken place on the bot at every point in time. Um, we've created that. So use state, sorry, use client, then import use effects, we are importing use effects and use states. Both will be from React and use state. So import use effect and use states both from React. Then import headers, import headers from headers page. Then we import our read and write contract, get vote read and write contract functions. Import get vote read contracts, vote read contracts from library. Okay, transaction issue. We just want to read. We are not writing. So we are now importing the right one. Then import event log, so I can log events from headers. So this enables us to log transaction events. Think. Now let's define our interface. Interface transaction. So this is the interface we want for our transaction. We have to define it for TypeScript to make it type safe. So type of deposit, which is a string. We have type deposit, which is string, or type withdraw, which is string, or type withdraw, which is string. Next, user, we define user as type of string. Then amount, string. Then transaction hash, also string. So this is the type it will be using at every point in time, and make our work type safe. Now export default function, export default function transaction history. default function transaction history. Now the code body, our constant transactions set transaction transactions, assign it use states. So we assign it use states. Then we pass transaction list, passing transaction list, then we pass in transaction list, then we define constant loading, set loading, set loading. We assign it use state, excuse me, and set the initial status to true. The initial state is true. Now use effect use effect we use to define a function. We use to define a function. So we define some variables in the function. Let contract be either dot new instance of contract, dot new instance of contract of our vault contract. Then a synchronous function load events to be loading our transactions. We set it as a function. Then using try and catch error method. So try contract which is assigned await get vault read contract. So it will get vault read contract function to listen to contracts transactions that has taken place. Then constant provider is assigned contracts dot runner as eithers dot provider. Transaction that has taken place on the Ethereum blockchain. for our vote smart contract. Then constant latest block. So this one is important to specify so that the team will not be listening to all transactions that have taken place since the Ethereum blockchain has been initiated, since the first block on the chain. That would be too much to be emitted on our. That would be too much to be emitted on our. I mean, to be emitted on our front end, to be too cumbersome. So we define specific portion of the blockchain we want to be bringing the transaction from at every point in time, because at every point in time more blocks are being added. So if you are to be listening to all, it may cause slow our it will make our application to be responding slowly, and even the total number of transactions to be fetched will be too much, which our app may even find it difficult to be loading. So constant latest block equals await provider dot get block. Okay, get block number. Let's get block number. Get block number to listen to latest block. While constant deploy block, constant deploy block equals await is assigned. Don't mind me when I say equals. It's assigned await number await number where process number function where process dot environment dot the public next public vote deploy deploy block is passed as the argument. Then from the latest, we want it to grab the latest block and listen to, let's say, the previous 9,000 blocks. So it will be listening to 9,000 blocks from the latest block to the latest 9,000. So it will be listening to latest 9,000 block. So define constant step constant step which is assigned 9,000. So it will be listening to the latest 9,000 blocks from the last to the previous 9,000 block. Then constant constant deposit constant deposit logs is assigned a list. So it will be showing list of deposits, while constant withdraw withdraw logs is assigned a list. So we have list for deposit, then we have list for withdraw. The two of them to be shown. Now, using for loop for let from which is assigned deploy block from deploy block from blocks less than or equals to latest. So it will look for blocks that are from the latest or from the one that is less than the latest to the one. So this one pick it from the latest, from plus equal. So we use this one to increment and we use this one to assign and increment at the same time. Equal step. So with this, it will be looping from the latest block to it will loop backward to up to the last 9,000 uh, blocks. Okay. Now we assign this one a function. We assign it as function. So we now give it an object body uh, where we define constant to which is assigned. This one is grabbed from mathematical uh, library. Math minimum, looking for the minimum block will be from plus step minus 1. So step minus 1 is the entire length of the block to latest block to latest block. Math min math min math min video is still okay. This error will come back to it. Cannot find the name math min. We'll come back to this later. So latest block. Then constant deposit, constant deposit is assigned await contract dot query filter. We use this to filter through the blocks to filter through the blocks. So it will now filter through contract dot filters dot withdraw. So this filter the withdrawal transactions. The filters the filters withdrawn. So this filter withdraws and it filters it from what we have described to what we have described. That is from the uh, latest block to 9,000 blocks. So next we do deposit. Next we do deposit logs dot push, and we are pushing to deposits. We are pushing to deposits. There is an error here. After constant max min, I think this smart dot minimum. Yes, smart dot minimum. Okay, that's why it's throwing error. Smart dot minimum. I've made a mistake. Constant deposit equals await contract dot query filter contract dot filters dot should be uh dot deposit. Contract dot filters dot deposited should be deposited dot deposited. This for deposits deposited from what has been described, then to what has been described. Then it will now push it to, we now have deposit logs dot push to deposit of all. This is correct. Now for withdrawal. Now for withdrawal to, we now have okay, before we come to deposit logs dot this, we'll define the constant to for withdrawals, constant withdrawals, withdrawals, constant withdrawals is assigned constant deposits, then constant withdrawals is assigned await contract. It's also assigned await contract dot query filter dot query filter contract dot query filter. Then we have contract dot filters contract dot filters now withdrawn function withdrawn function filter withdrawn function. Also, from what has been described to what has been described, then code break. Now, then deposit logs dot push to deposit. Then we now also have withdraw, withdraw, withdraw logs. Yes, this is it. Withdraw logs also dot push to withdraw. Dot push to withdraw to withdraw withdraw was. Does push to withdraws. Okay. So we'll now come out of this place. So please take note of the parentheses and the code breaks. Now constant constant history constant history is transaction list which is assigned a list. It's assigned an empty list. Okay, assigned an empty list. Now we'll define the events. So here we want to define deposit events. Define deposit. We want to define deposit events here. So using loop, we say for constant constant log of deposits for constant log of deposit logs as a function. For constant log of deposit logs, we want constant event for deposit logs is assigned log of, we want to log it as event log. We want to assign it as event log. We'll now put it into the history. So we now have history dot push. So in the history, we'll pass the arguments, the parameters we want in the history for deposits. So type for the issue will be deposits. Then type will be deposit. User will be user is assigned event dot arguments dot user. So for each user, it will deposit event of his it will bring history of his deposits alone. Then amount as either dot format either with argument of events dot args arguments dot amount. So this one will be fetching amounts that person has actually deposited on the Ethereum. Then for transaction hash, we assign it as event dot transaction event.transaction hash. So code break here. Then this is the closing for the function. So take note of the parentheses. Then here for constant for constant log of withdrawal, constant log of withdrawal logs, that too is passed to another function. So this one is looking at for this for withdraw events. This for withdraw events. So inside this withdraw events function, we also have constant event is assigned log as event, log as event log, log it as event log, then history, we'll push it to history, history.push history.push, then the type for the history will be withdraw. Type here will be withdraw. Type of withdraw, then user event dot arguments dot user event dot argument dot user, then amount headers dot format header dot format header, then we pass event dot arguments dot amount as argument in it as its parameter, comma, then for the transaction hash, event dot transaction hash, comma, event dot transaction hash. So we'll close this with code break. Then after this next parenthesis here, after the next parenthesis here, we now history, we now sort the history.sort, so that the history can be sorted. So we are now sorting the history. B dot transaction hash dot local compare with a dot, it's not argument, with a dot strong now. With a dot transaction hash. With a dot transaction hash, then close the then next set transactions with arguments of history. Set transaction with argument of history. So we are done with the history. Now to listen for new deposits. Listing for new deposits. For the transaction to be picking new deposits apart from the recent one, say contract dot deposits, sorry, undeposited. Whenever it say whenever it says a deposited event, you will now implement this user. You will check for the user amount deposited and pick the event. And pick the events. It picks the events. Now send it as a function. So the body of that function, what the function will be doing, set transactions. The function will be setting transactions as a previous transaction and pass it to a function, not really function, it passes it as a list, and in that list we have an object, and the object defines type of the transaction that take place, which will be deposits, then the user that performed the transaction, then it defines the amount of the transaction that take place as either define it as either dot format either with argument of amounts. Then to also pick the transaction hash, to pick the transaction hash as event dot log as events dot log dot transaction hash. So this will be the body for that function. Okay, this one, comma, then here we show it as previous, show it as previous, then this, then we break the code here, break the code here, I think there's error somewhere. Where is problem? Where is problem? Let me check. This is supposed to be here. Okay, let's make progress. Anywhere there is error, we'll be fixing that later. Let's make progress. Um, After this code break, after this, we have this. Then we're supposed to have another something after this. We're supposed to have a closing something here. But let's move on. We'll find where the error lies later. Uh, Now let's listen for new withdrawal. As we listen for new deposit, listen for new withdrawals. So let's listen for new withdrawals. We have contracts dot on withdrawn. Whenever I saw withdrawn events, it will grab the user that performed the withdrawal, the amount, and the event, and assign it to this function. And assign it to function where it will set transactions with previous argument as previous in its argument, and later pass it to a list. That list now have an object, and the object will define the type as withdrawn as withdraw. We define the user that effect the withdrawal, the amount withdrawn, as either dot format either with amount as argument, with amount as the argument for that. Then the transaction hash as as event dot log dot transactions dot transaction hash dot transaction hash. Then this one, after this, here we have dot dot dot. I've seen where our previous error lies. Dot 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 dot. Then comma. Sorry, this is dot 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 previous. Like we have it in the. It's not previous. Prev. Previous. Then comma. Then this is code break. For code break here. So here we'll catch error. Here we'll catch error. So we are catching error which we log as console.error of error. Console.error of error. Then here finally, final, finally, finally, set loading, set loading as false, code break, set loading as false. Then after these two parentheses, come here, load events, load events, call load event function, call load event function. Then we are ready for our we are ready for our return statement. So it's like this thing has become two somewhere. So let's clean this. We're supposed not to have this again. It's supposed to remain this. So we've made error with these two closing tags. Let's delete it. That's it. Okay, let's go back to that uh, draw events. Okay, after that withdraw events, let's recheck our code. This one is closed here, then this. After that withdraw events. After withdraw events, after withdraw events, transaction hash events dot transaction hash, then this, this, then history dot sort, come on, this history dot sort arguments, see where the error is coming from. History dot sort AB. So when we are typing, the thing has changed it to argument for us. This is where we start having error. It's the typing that changed the whole something for us. So what we did here is, let's clean it now. This is what we did. Issue dot sort, we have this, then we have another this inside. We have this inside. So so this line of code supposed to be inside this bracket. This line of code supposed to be inside this place. So such that at the end of the uh, history dot sort of this, So that at the end of the a dot transaction hash, at the end of the a dot transaction hash, in this place, we're supposed to have this at the back here before we now set transaction history. So, so this one should be, we pass A, comma B as argument here. We now take this and put it where it's supposed to be, such that this code break here will be in this place. Code break here will be in this place. Now we set transaction history, then we listen to deposits, then contract dot on deposited, then after deposited we'll pass this as argument user amount and event and events. Oh, the same error that occurred the other time. So this closing parenthesis here supposed not to be here. It's the one we're supposed to have at the end in this place. So that's what is causing our error. So let's just clean this. Let's just clean this. So you can see it has released our events. Now the event is not accessible. So that closing parenthesis now is now the opening here. It's now what we're having. Okay, before we listen to new withdrawal, firstly listen to deposit. So we now have this. You can now see this thing is no more closing now. Where is it? This one, this opening here. So that's why it's not selecting, because we've not closed it. So I think we're supposed now to close it here. Supposed to close it at the ending of the code block here. After this, we now have this. That's where we have problem. So we'll close it here. We'll close it here and have our code break. Now let's now check this one too. Correct the listing for new withdrawals section as well, the way we did for the deposit. Contract dot on withdrawn, we open it here, then users amount event pass inside this bracket here, then we okay, let's firstly correct this. So we assign it to this. Oh, that's the major place where this one is having error. Okay, it's as if we still have another place. So we set it to this function body, set transactions, then as previous, pass as argument here, then we send this to a list, then the list has object body, type of withdraw, user amount, that's dot format amount. Okay, then transaction hash event log transaction hash, then this, closing this, previous, and this, previous, and this, then we have this, then catch error. It's like this one. Oh, you can see now it's not correct to this place. That's what we're supposed to have. But why are we having error in this place? Set transactions as previous. What's the error is showing? Cannot find name set transactions. Did you mean set transactions? Wait. Let's check this place. Set transactions. Set action transaction. Mhm. Then we have previous. Set transactions. As previous. Set okay. Can see our spelling. It's not correct. Alright. Set transactions as previous. Then this. Okay. Our error will remain dot previous. Okay, there's comma here. There's comma here in line 77. So the error is gone. Now let's go to our return body. After load events, we have code break. Then uh, this after we load events, we have the code break. Then this. So we now return this. We set it to a function body. Then the function body for our return statement. The function body for our return statements. So if contract, if we have contract, then do contract dot remove all listeners. Remove all listeners. Deposited. 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 Then contract dot remove all listeners for withdrawn. All listener withdrawn. All listener withdrawn. Then we have this, we have this, and this. You see on line 93, I separate this and this closing bracket. So we now have one, two, three, these three braces. So after the first one, the second one, we put code break. Then for the third one, we put comma. Then before we have this, we now assign uh, we assign a list, pass as a list. So here we now have we have code break. So here we have code break. Now our HTML body return this. Return this. Return this. So our what do we call it? Division, class name, class name, rounded, large, border, then white background. We use white background a lot in this application. Then P6, shadow, medium with medium shadow. So in the division here, we have closed our division tag. So in between, let's have an header 2 for title, class name MB for text to Excel, then font bold, font bold, then we close our H2 tag. So the title we now give is transaction history. So this division is for showing transaction history. It shows transaction history. Then after this closing tag here, still within our division body, we grab our loading to enable it to load, which is checked. It will check with question mark if it loads or not. Then we have another argument body where we declare another what do we call it, another paragraph element. In the paragraph element, we say we pass loading transactions dot dot dot. So it will show that the transaction is being loaded at this point. Then after the closing parenthesis A, we have closing parenthesis we have here. Then space it, question, sorry, colon. Then pass transactions dot length, transactions dot length strictly equals, strictly as I check to be 0, questioned. Then we have another tag opening and close bracket. So in this place, we have another paragraph element. So in this paragraph element, we are showing no transaction. If there is no transaction, no transactions found. So this will be displayed. If there is no transaction, then after the paragraph closing A, the closing paragraph tag A, we have this. Then we still use our colon to introduce another thing, that another things that we want to show. Another thing we want to show another division that shows the actual transactions that might have occurred. So we bring another division tag, class name, space by 4. This one doesn't have too much styling. It doesn't have too much styling. Then space y4. Now let's close the tag slash division. Though we'll still edit this closing tag, but let's close it first. Then come in between, grab transactions dot map, transaction dot map. Then we pass into map function, we pass transaction and index of the transaction that has taken place. Then we pass this to function or to another body, to another body of parentheses, where we grab with date of division tag, we grab key as index. So what will be used to search transaction will be index. So that's what we'll be using as key for those objects to check it, to search it. So remember this division. So we now want to start the division. Class name, rounded, border, P3. So we are through with the division here. Close it. So remember this one too we have is closing division tag. So let's close it before it will cause error. then space it. So class name rounded border. So within it again, we have another division. So you are seeing how we are nesting division inside division. So in this other division, the class name we want to use here, flex. The styling we are using, flex. Uh, then we justify between. Then we close it. So as we close this, introduce the closing division tag and space this to avoid error. So justify between. After that justify between, now uh, want to put a text. So we want the text to be bold. So we use span class name, span class name, so the class name here, we don't style it, we rather assign it an object body that bring transaction dot type. I check for transaction dot type and assign it to deposit, assign it to deposit, then check if the deposit is available or not. Fonts, we're now styling our font bold, then text green, with size of 600 font size. Then um, font bold, font bold, font bold, text red 600, 600 not 6000. Then this is closed. Then we close this tag. Then we have closing tag for the span here. Space it down. So in between, okay, let me take it back. So in between this, open and closing back for the span, where we use what do you call it? So we'll now grab back transaction dot type. We grab back transaction dot type. Transaction dot type. Now after this span, space, we bring another span, span. You can see the span has been closed. So in between this, we grab transaction dot amount as an object. We pass it, but it's not an object here. These are use of JSX where we incorporate JavaScript, TypeScript into HTML. So we close the span. So for transaction.amount, then the amount should be in Ethereum. So any amount it pick will be in Ethereum. Then after this, you can see we have backslash division, backslash division here. So after this division, before the next division close, after this division that follow transaction amount in Ethereum here, in this place, let's introduce another paragraph element P with class name with styling of mt2 text small sm, then break all, then break all. We close the tag here for the paragraph. So that paragraph contain information as well, and the information we want to pass there is wallet wallet. So it will show wallet, and the wallet will be the transaction from where the transaction is taking place, which is the transaction.user, which is transaction.user. Then after the p here, after the closing p tag here, we introduce another paragraph element with class name mt1 text text xs, then text gray 500, then we break all, then we close this tag as well. The So in between the opening and closing tag here, we pass transaction as transaction dot transaction hash to show our transaction hash. Then we have the closing tag for the paragraph. We have closing tag for division. This another closing tag for division. This one. We have this, then closing division tag. So this is the only place that remains for us to put code break, then save. So with this, we are through with our transaction history .tsx component. So now let's create user balance component. We still have user balance components to create. We have navbar components. We have a VOT component, VOT balance component. Then we have app.tsx that will show the whole of components that we have created, wallet and everything that will make our app feasible. So those are the remaining files to create. So okay, we are making progress. Now let's move on to uh, user balance.tsx. So touch components slash user balance.tsx. All right, we have it. So it's still file that comes on the front end side. So we use client, then we import use effects from React from React. So from the same React, we also import useState. So we import both useEffects and useState together. Then import edas also from edas edas.js. Then our vault read contract, import get vault read contract from the library folder where it is created. Then get provider, import get provider from web3 file where we created it. So we are through with importation. Now default export default function export default function user balance with function body. Then set the constants. Let's set our state constant address set address constant address set address equals useState set it to empty string initially. Then balance constant balance set balance assigned useState will set balance initially to 0 before we update that. Then constant loading set loading assign it useState and set it to true initially. So later we'll be updating it to false whenever we have a situation where it may not be available. Okay, constant load user balance is assigned asynchronous function pass to user body, sorry, pass to function body. So we implement the function with a try and catch error. Try constant provider is assigned await get provider, get provider, await get provider, then constant account is assigned await provider dot send, await provider dot send Ethereum underscore accounts, Ethereum accounts dot length, Ethereum accounts dot length, a string, then break the code. Next, if accounts dot length, if accounts dot length is strictly 0, if no account is present, then loading, set loading to false. So meaning there is no account present, and return then constant address is assigned accounts that start with 0, accounts with that start with 0 uh, index. So we want to update and bring in an account. So set address now as address. So previously we checked and ensure there is no account present. Now we set the address to an address that I want to connect to. Then constant contract is assigned await gets vault read contract, get vault read contract. So this one will be checking for user balance. So it's not going to pay. So it's got to read. So it will not be costing us gas. Next, constant user balance, constant user balance is assigned await contract dot get balance, contract dot get balance function, and pass the address to check from as the argument. Then set balance. Now we update the set balance. Set balance either dot for format either then pass user balance as the argument. User balance as the argument. Okay. User balance as the argument. Then in this place, let's introduce our catch error. Catch, catch error, catch error. So what error? Console, console dot error. Then the error message, error. There's error loading user balance. So if the user balance is not loading, it will tell us there's error loading user balance. Show it as error. So code break here, code break. Okay, we are through with the error. So our finally body, sorry, final part of the finally of the try catch finally custom error. Finally sets, let's place this. Finally sets loading. Finally sets loading as false. So this, then after this we have code break here, code break here. Now preparing for use effects, use effects assigned to function body of this. So we assign to a function body. Inside we load user balance, load user balance, load user balance. Now let's have a comments. What are we doing is refresh every 10 seconds. So we want user balance to be refreshing every 10 seconds, so that every 10 seconds it will be bringing us the latest user balance. So constant interval is set interval, is assigned set interval, and the interval we use load user balance. We want to be loading user balance every 10 seconds. That's 10,000. That's for 10 seconds. To be loading it every 10 seconds. Then return our return statement. Return return. What are we returning? Assign is assign it clear interval. Clear interval. Clear interval function, which is internal. Which is internal. which is internal of this so. After this, we now have a list function. This was constant interval says, is it internal or interval? It's interval, not internal. So set this. So let's go to our HTML part. Return this. So our division tag, class name. Division tag is class name, rounded, large, border, background white, p6, p6, shadow, md. Close the tag. So our division tag close has come up as well. So in between the division tag opening and closing, in this line 28 where you have something, let's introduce an header element h2, header element h2, style it, class name mb2, text xl, extra large, then font bold, then we close the h2 header. So we name it my vault balance. So the title we give it to it is my vault balance. So this is where a user vault balance will be displayed. Um, then in between, after the closing header tag, still within the division body, we'll now grab loading. We grab the loading, check it, then we introduce paragraph uh, elements. You can see the paragraph element has been introduced. Then loading, show loading status as the user balance is loading. This one displays it. So move your cursor to after this closing paragraph here. Then let's give space. So after the closing paragraph element here, now we are still within this bracket that was initialized here. So let's move this up and split it here. Aha. So after this closing bracket here, we want to introduce another closing bracket after semicolon. Then So inside this, we now introduce a closing tag. This is a closing, opening and closing tag element. So we are bringing something to this place. This is the opening, this is the closing. So we are bringing in a paragraph. So we are bringing in paragraph elements, style it, class name, MB2, text small, text gray, text gray 500. So we use this one to create uh, what do we call it for wallets. So this one shows the wallets. Wallets. So we have closing paragraph tag. So after this closing paragraph tag, let's introduce another paragraph element. Paragraph element. We style it. Class name MB4 break all text small and font mono using mono font mono. Close the tag. Then in between the opening and closing tag, we grab the address for the wallet. So this one will show the wallet and show the address for the wallet. So inside the division tag we're having here, we are showing wallet. Then we want the wallet to show address in front of it. So let's put colon here. Okay, so it will show this, and in front of it, it will show the wallet address with this paragraph element here. Okay. Um, Now let's create another paragraph element after this one that show address. Another paragraph element. So this one too, we style it. Let's say text 4XL. Let's use text 4XL. Then font bold. Let's use a bold font for it. Uh, let's use green text green for the color. Let's make it like 600. Okay. So in between the opening and closing of this paragraph, sorry, in between the opening and closing of the paragraph, we introduce an object body to grab number as balance, number function that bring balance, dot to fixed. So we want to format how the balance will be displaying. To fixed for So it will be showing for uh, character. To be of 4 character, then the value will be in Ethereum. It will be showing our balance in Ethereum. So after this paragraph, which is closed here, we still want to show another paragraph. We still create another paragraph element. Style it. Class name mt2 mt2 text small, then text gray, the color of the text gray. Let's use let's say 500. Text gray 500. Text gray 500. So close the tag. So in between, we put the text we want to show. Your deposited ETH, your deposited Ethereum. So this one will be showing your deposited Ethereum. Is it your deposited Ethereum or you deposited Ethereum? Well, when we start our application, if there's error, we'll correct that English. Let's move on. So after this closing paragraph here, now let's create our button. Still within, take note we have not moved outside this closing tag. So now let's create our button. Button tag. So what we want the button to be doing on click, that is when they click the button, we want the button to trigger load user balance. To trigger load user balance function so that the load user balance function will do its work. Then class name, now we want to style it empty for rounded. The button will be rounded, is big with green color of 600 character. Then px is alignment for py py6. Sorry, 6 will be too much. py2, px for py2. Then text, the text that will be shown on it, we want it to be white, text white. Then we want to give it over effect such that when you move cursor over it, it will give effect. It will change color from original white color to green. Over background green, of 700 character, So we'll close the something for the button. So the name of this button is refresh. So when you click this button, you can use to refresh user balance at any point in time. Refresh. Then we have close tag for the button. We have this close tag, division close tag, this. So put code break here, then this. So with this, we are through with our user balance component. So we are through with the user balance component. We are making progress. We are through with user balance component. So Let's save. Next, let's create component vault balance. Touch component. We now change this one to vault balance. Vault balance dot tsx. So for vault balance, use state, sorry, use client. I always start with use state. So use client, then import. We are going to import use effect and use so use effect and use state. Import use effects from React, then use state. Use effect and use state. Then we import edas. These are our regular customer. Import edas. Then next we import get vault get vault read contract. Oh, that's given me the option. I didn't click it to make my work easier. Get vault grab it get vault read contract. Uh, so I'm through with importation. Exports default export default function. Export default function vault balance. So this one will be showing the total balance of amount present in the vault. Constant balance. Instead of you typing all these things from beginning, anyone that you have created before you and is the same thing you are using, you can go to the file, copy it and use it and edit to make your work faster. So constant balance set balance equals use state set it to balance. We normally set balance to 0 initially. So set it to 0. Then constant loading when the balance is loading. Constant loading set loading assigned use state assigned it use state set to true. So when the situation will not be true, we'll be resetting it back to false later. Then constant load balance is assigned a synchronous function passed to a function body. So what do we want the function to be doing? Using try and catch error method, constant contract is assigned vault get vault read contract rather. Get vault read contract function. Then console dot log contract target. We want it to show the targeted contract as contract dot target, as contract of target, as contracts of target, contract dot target. Then constant provider is assigned contract dot runner as eithers dot providers. It's not provider, providers is provider. Okay. Console dot log network. This one I just put, all these are included just to troubleshoot in case if there is error with our network or whatever. Await provider dot get network. Await provider dot get network function. So code break here. Okay. Constant code is assigned await provider dot get code then which code we want it to get? We want it to get the code for the contract of target. For contract dot target, contract dot target, contract dot target. So console dot log code as code. Then constant small v, constant vault balance. Constant vault balance is assigned await contract dot contract balance await contract dot contract balance function. Await contract dot contract function, dot contract balance function. Then console dot log vault balance, console dot log vault balance as vault balance dot to string, convert it from number a to string data type. Then set balance, initially set to 0, we are now updating it. Set balance as eithers dot format either. Then inside it we pass argument of vault balance. Now, after a, we catch, remember our try catch something we are using, catch error, which is error. We want to catch error, so dot console dot error, console.error, then error loading vault balance, error loading vault balance. So set as error, set as our error. Then the next line here, after this closing parenthesis, our finally statement, finally, another object notation, then set loading, set it to false, set it to false. Then we have this and this. So after this second one, we put, after the second closing parenthesis, we put our code break. We put code break. Then use effects. Use effects. Use effect. We assign it to a function body. Use effect. We assign it to function body, and in the function body, we implement our load balance function. Our load balance function. Load balance function. So after the load balance function, let's refresh just the way we refresh user balance every 10 seconds. So let's refresh this one to comment, refresh every 10 seconds. So as we refresh user balance every 10 seconds, we want to refresh contract balance as well every 10 seconds. So let's implement this. Constant interval, constant interval is assigned to set interval for load balance, set interval for load balance to 10 minutes, which is 10,000. 10,000 milliseconds. So return function, return function clear interval, at interval with interval arguments. Then after this closing parenthesis, before the second one, we have comma, then introduce the list here, then code break. Now our HTML part, return this. So inside this, we start with our division. We start with division, class name rounded, large, then our border, introduce border, background, white, white background, P6, shadow medium. So our close tag for the division. So let's take it to the next line. So in between the division and its close tag, let's introduce a title element, which is h2 header element. h2 header element, h2, class name, koi, sorry, class name, h2, class name, mb2, text, extra large, XL, font, bold, font bold. Then we'll close the h2. So within the h2 and its closing tag, we name it vert. So this one is showing vert balance. Vert balance. Then after the closing tag, our loading, we check if it is loading. Then we introduce a paragraph element. So this paragraph, we are not styling it. So the paragraph shows loading. It shows loading status. Then after the closing paragraph on this line 38, uh, it's not compulsory your own code should be on the exact line 38. It can be on any line. So you can see we have this. Okay, let me take this one back. We have this closing tag for this. So after this, let's space it. Let's take this one down. So after this one, your colon, then we want to introduce another what do we call it? Another tag. So we've introduced another tag. So within this tag, we want to introduce a paragraph element. Class name, text 4XL, then fonts, the text font size, we want it to be bold, the text color, we want it to be blue, 600 character. Then we close the paragraph tag. So in between the paragraph tag and we want to introduce a JavaScript object. So number with argument of balance, dots to fixed, just the way we display the balance for user is also what we are implementing here. Then it shows Ethereum, it shows the value in Ethereum. The value is showed in Ethereum. Oh, sorry. It's after this object body that we put Ethereum. Okay. So we've closed our paragraph here. We close our paragraph here. So after this, we want to introduce another paragraph element with class name empty2 text small and text color to be gray 500. So we close the tag. We close the tag. So this place we label it total Ethereum logged in the vault. So this one is showing total Ethereum that has been deposited in the vault, that is in the vault. Then we have closing tag for the for this opening paragraph element here. So let's create the button. What would this button be doing? On click, when this button is clicked, unclicked, want it to be loading, want it to trigger load balance function. So it will trigger load balance function. Then let's style the button. Class name empty4 rounded, background blue 600. Then px4 py2 text white, that's text color, want to be white. We want to give it over effect, over background changes to blue, 700 character. So we'll close for the button. So this one too can refresh the votes, it can refresh the contract balance. So we have close tag for the button, the close tag for the tag elements that we open. Then we have this, there are different closing brackets. Then we have closing tag for this division. So our contract balance, sorry, our vote balance is complete. So the component vote balance is complete. We are getting closer to the finishing parts of our mini DeFi vault. So before we go to app.page, we are almost done. Before we go to app.page, let's create navigation bar components. So let's save this, Command S. So here, touch components slash navbar, navigation bar. navbar.tss. So to make our work much easier, we want to create navigation bar.tsx. So use client, not use state this time. Use client, pardon. So our import statement, import. So in this place now, we import link. We are dealing with navigation bar now. So from we import link from next link, from next slash link, from next slash link. So this next link. So from next slash link. So import wallet connect. Import wallet connect from wallet connect such that our wallet connect tool works with the nav bar, with the navigation bar. Now export default function navbar, default function navbar. So return. So let's configure the navigation bar how we want it to be. Configure nav, which is our nav element, navigation element. We want to style it. Class name sticky top 0 z50 z50. So it will push it to it will push it to a particular side. Then we'll give it border b, then background white, and shadow. I like white background a lot, so that's why I use it much. Shadow small, shadow small. So close the tag. So you can see we have closing navigation tag. So we have closing navigation nav tag there. Now now in between the opening and closing nav bar, let's put this down. So in between, let's create a division class name, division class name mx auto, then flex maximum width of 7xl. Let's use 7xl. Maximum width of 7xl. Then items is centralized. We centralize the items. Then justify between. Justify between px6, px6 and py4, py4 and py4. So in between this division, we want to bring in a logo. So we want to bring in a logo. So let's comment. To comment inside this thing we've written is a what we have written here. So let's comment logo. We are showing logo here, backslash. We are showing logo here. Then we introduce the logo, the link. We want to make it to be linkable. href. We use href to show where a link will lead to. So we want it to be going to the next thing. We want the link to always go to the next place that we directed it to. So let's class name text 2xl, font bold, text blue 600. Then we name our application mini DeFi, mini decentralized finance vault. Then we've closed the link. So next, in the next one, we want to start navigation. So here we want to start navigation. So let's call it navigation links. Links we'll be using to navigate. So links we'll be using to navigate now. Division, class name, division, class name hidden, items centralized, gap 8, then medium flex. Medium flex. So we close the tag. So in between the tag for that division, we create our link href. We're not passing into object body. We are still passing into the next style that we did above. So we still style it class name transition. We want this one to be transition with effects, with hovering effects, over text blue 600. Close the tag. So we have closing link tag again. Then in between the opening link here and this closing link tag, we display dashboard for each user. Dashboard for each user. So we display the dashboard. Then we create a link, a href. We assign it an element with ID of deposit. So these are the things we use. These are HTML. What do you call it? They are HTML features. So this thing is called ID. We used to grab an ID, identification of a particular HTML element. And no two elements can share the same ID. So ID of deposit. Then let's tie the link class name. Want it to be transition, and we have it to have over effect of text. That is where your cursor moves over it. It will be changing from its normal color to color blue of 600 character. Then, so this link is named deposit. So when you click it, it affects deposit. It makes deposit to happen. So you can see we have closing tag for the element, for the link. So after this closing tag for the link here, before the closing of division, we want to create another link, a href that initiates withdraw. So with withdraw element, with withdraw ID. So this one too is styled class name transition. That's over effects that change color to the text color to blue with 600 characters as well. Then this one is named withdraw. So we'll see these two links that we can click to enable us deposit or withdraw. Pardon me. Then after this link, we want to create another link href that will be controlling history, the transaction history. So with um, with ID of history, class name, transition, it has over effects. Over effects will change from the text from its original color to blue with character of 600. Then we close this, and for this one we name it history. Now we have closing tag for the elements for the link. Then we have our closing tag for division. For the division here. So next, let's bring the one for wallet. The nav bar for nav setting for wallet. Let me put more space. So we bring parentheses here, / name it wallet button. So wallet button. So we define, okay, here we are bringing in the wallet connects component as a whole. We'll bring it in. We don't add code it. So wallet connect. This is how we import a whole Java script component. So we have grabbed the whole JavaScript component for wallet connect. We brought it into navigation bar here. So every wallet, every button we have here can now be controlled by the navigation bar. So now we have closing division here, closing nav for the nav bar. Then this place we introduce code break. So we are through with our nav bar component. So far so good. Let's see what we have done. Let's see if our application can still be viewable by now or not. Let me check. So let me check. Node version. Which node version am I using? 18. Let me change it. NVM use 22. Okay. Let's now run npm run dev. Let's see how the page is coming up. Let's see, with all we've done since, is our application still viewable? This video is still loading. Okay, let's come here. So you can see the application is not yet alive. It's still showing this static page. The reason being that all the components we have implemented, all the pages we have created, we are yet to show it to people. So a major part where everything will be rendered to the user is in the app.tsx. All the components, everything you have done in all those files so far, you have to render it to the UI, to the user interface through the app page.tsx. So that's the next thing we are going to implement. And with that, we will round up our application. So it may be open for further improvements for those of us that will be interested in improving it further. Now, let's create. Oh, sorry, we are not creating it. We have it already. So don't make mistake. Just come here, close the component something here. So you can see so far we created deposits.tsx page that handle deposit, navbar that handle navbar, how navbar interacts from one to another, transaction history, the page that grab transaction history, component that grab transaction history that take place on the vault, then user balance that display how much a user is having at any point in time in his vault, then vault balance that show the total balance of the vault contract, the total balance of the vault contract. Then this is where we implement how wallet will be connected to our metamask, and this one implemented a component for withdrawing. So all these components are going to be rendered on the UI through the page. Then this handle our smart contract, while these are helping files, contract.ts. This is where we implemented integration for the smart contract, and from here we make it available to every other components where we need it. Then web3.ts is also another helping file where we implemented some functions that help in wallet connect uh, components. So you can see it's a lot of work before we finish with the front end. So, but at the end of the day, it's what makes your work lively, that makes your work accessible, that tells people that actually what you did in the smart contract is correct. So it has the beauty. Now let's go to the app. In app, you can see we have layout.tsx. We are not touching this place. Now let's go to this place, page.txs. So this page.tsx, that's what we are having. What do we call it? You can see there are errors in it. So forget about the error. Control A or Command A. Then I delete everything. I don't need any of the uh, what we have there. So if I go back to the page now, it will not show anything. Okay, uh, let me create another terminal. Let me start another terminal and show you what I'm saying. Okay, let me create additional terminal. Okay, so this is an additional terminal. NVM. Sorry, I want to check node version in it. Node version is using 18. So you can see it's a new something. So I change it to NVM use 22. Fine. I now run npm run dev from here. So let's go back to, it's still on ports 3000. So if you go back to the place, you can see localhost is not available because we have cleaned what is in app page.css, and that's what render to the user interface. So that's the point of rendering everything we have done to user interface. So since we clean it, it shows nothing. So I will not close the I won't close the second tab, such that we'll be coming there to see what is happening as we code along. So let me go back to the first place. So I'm now in the first place. If I check my node version here, this node version, I'm still on 22. You can still see that this is where we left. So I open that one so that you can see what is happening as we code along. So in app page.tsx here, so now we will import all those components that we have created. We import all of them. Import navbar, you can see we import navbar from components navbar.tsx. So we have imported it. That's one. Import vot balance. Import vot, you can see vot balance.tsx. We import it. That's the second component. Import user balance from user balance from components user balance. We have imported it. Then import deposits. Import deposits. Deposit from our deposit uh, from component deposit. We have imported that. Then we have withdraw. Withdraw rather. Import withdraw from withdraw.tsx. That's the fifth one. Then we have transaction history. We'll import it. Import transaction history. We have imported it, making 6 components. So we have imported all our 6 components now. So if we go to the page, it's still not accessible. We just import, we've not rendered it. So next, export export default export default function home. So the first page that will be seen, which is also called the landing page, is our home. So export default function home. If I save it, let's see, is there any changes here? So you can see it's not showing empty something it was showing us before. Reason being that we've rendered a home page. Just that on the home page, we have not shown any component. So you can see it's changed. It's not showing error again. Now the page has been rendered. We have rendered home page. So what we now want to be on the home page, we'll now be bringing it in one by one. You can see the page is just blank because we've not rendered anything. But this is the home page. That's recognize it as home page. You can see it shows create next app. Before we render it, let me say Control Z. We've not rendered it now because we've not put the function body. You will see it's showing, okay, it's still showing localhost. Why? Because it's showing localhost because, okay, let me comment. Let me save. So it's just showing compiling. It's compiling. It has recognized we are doing something, and now it's not telling us there is error. Why? Because we've started implementing something here. But if we clean everything back, if we don't export anything and come here, it will not see. It's still seeing this because of the last activity that it has seen something before. That's why it's seeing this. Supposed not to see this again. So it's now seeing it as error because it has been caged. It's remembering the last memory. So let's come back. So export default function home. Then I pass the body. So you can see there is no error again because we've rendered the real page. Just that we have not shown anything on the page, so it won't show error. again. This is the page we've rendered so far. So now we'll be bringing those components onto the home page one by one. So return, return, sorry, return. What are we returning? So in our return statement, opening and closing tag, we put this. So go and check our page. It's expecting us to send what we want to send. Now, in between this opening and closing tag, DSS opening and closing tag, we now start to render those components that we have imported. And the first that is good for us to render is the navigation bar that we'll be using to navigate from one place to another. So to render navigation bar, the way we render wallet connect in our nav bar.tsx, that's the way we'll be rendering the remaining components. So we now have nav bar, nav bar space, then we self close it. So we have rendered nav bar. So if I go and check, you can see the navigation bar has come. Can you see? So all the navigation bar, the one that say meaning DeFi fault, and you can see it's clickable. The reason why it is clickable is because we make it a link in the navbar .tss component. In navbar.tss component here, we make it a link. We created a link with that name. Where is it? We created a link, this link, meaning DeFi vault. We created a link with that name. So this is how we create a link. This what we use it to make this write-up, to make it a link that can be clicked. So that's why it's showing it. So you can see everything about the navbar is what it's showing now. It's showing mini DeFi vault. It's showing our dashboard. It's showing the deposits button, the withdraw button, the history section. It's showing everything because we have rendered the navbar. And you can see it's identifying my wallets. You can see it shows dashboard, which is clickable. It shows deposits. It shows withdraw. It shows history. And you can see as we are clicking it, it's changing to each of them's ID. It's changing to identification of each of them. Can you see? So we are not doing HTML lecturing. So let's go back. So we have rendered navbar. We are doing that in page.tsx. So after rendering the navbar is supposed to be at the top. We've seen where we showed it, it's at the top. Now, a web page normally have header, which is the head. So it's mostly in the header that we normally have the navigation bar. Then it has a body. In the body, that's where we render every other thing that we want to render. Then sometimes we have footer where we can show some other information, where they normally show items like copyright and the thing and the likes. So sometimes people still put some navigation bar at the footer side too, so that you can navigate from the header or from the footer. So because of that, we won't just go on and render other components. Now, we will now create a body for the page. So to create body for the page, we now use main, which is another that's another HTML element. So main, we used to create a section. Main, we want to style it mx auto with maximum width 7xl, max width 7xl. Then space space I've clicked on space space y10. So this is for alignment. And P8. To know much about all this styling, you can read more from the tailwind CSS documentation file. You can learn more on it. So the main describe the body of the page, of the web page, of the user interface that we are creating. Now, subdivision of page of the main of the body is section. So section, create a section. So in this section, we now introduce header. We introduce an header which we want to use to give it title. So the header, you see, I go inside the H1 before it's closed here. So H1, class name, I want to style it. Class name is text 4xl 4xl text 4xl. Then we want the fonts to be bold, fonts bold. Then we've closed it already. So yeah, we are welcoming people to our defaults. Welcome. So this will be the welcome address on the body of our application. Welcome to mini DeFi, meaning decentralized financial vaults. So it's welcoming people. So let's check. You can see this is we have created the body. So inside the body, we are welcoming people. Welcome to mini DeFi vaults. It's rendering. So let's come here. So after this H1, still within the section, we can now introduce a paragraph element. Paragraph, class name, we are styling mt2 text gray 600, text gray 600. Then we close it. So in this paragraph, we want to tell people what they can do. Deposit Ethereum securely. Deposit Ethereum securely into a decentralized vault and withdraw, let's say into our decentralized vault, not a decentralized vault, it's our own, into our decentralized vault and withdraw it whenever you need it. Whenever you need it. Full stop. So this one make it a bit more lively, comma S. If you check, we now have it. Deposit Ethereum securely into our decentralized vault and withdraw it whenever you need it. You can see our application is becoming beautiful and interactive. So, so uh, after that, we close the paragraph. Then we close the section here. We close the section here. Okay, space. But make sure I'm not outside the main. So after the section tag close, I want to create another section. Another section. This one, I'm styling it. Here I want to introduce grid. Just as if someone is drawing table that where you can have different column, different column and rows. Yes. So that's what our grid can achieve for us. So I want to create different grid sections. Um, so I have grid, my styling. I gap it with gap 6 interval. Then MD grid of columns of 2 with columns of 2. Then I close the section. So in this section, I want to show, okay, let me take it down so that you can see what I'm doing, so that it will not cause error. So the way I render the navbar, I will now render vault balance here. So this is what I want vault balance to be showing. So I'm rendering vault balance, space, and close the tag. So with this now, I've rendered vault balance. So if you come here, you will see the vault balance. You can see the vault balance I've shown because I've not completed what I'm doing. So that's why it's showing issue. Can you see? But the vault balance has been rendered. Now let's go. So I've rendered the vault balance in that section. Then in the same section, because I declare it to have 2 columns, I want to have 2 columns. So I can still render another item. So the next thing I want to render is user balance. So I want vault balance and user balance to be in that column. So now I'm rendering user balance, space, slash this. So you see user balance has also come. Can you see? So I've rendered vault balance and user balance. So the user balance will be showing my vault balance for a particular user. Okay. Now I can create another section. So I will go outside this section close tag. I'm creating another section. Section. So you can create as much as number of sections you need in a given main body. So section. Now I'll be using ID to grab each of the elements that I've created in navbar. So I want to grab in this section. I want to use to grab deposits. So using ID equals deposit. So I'm grabbing deposits ID that I've created in the navbar such that when that thing is clicked, it will be taking the person to deposit uh, component. So deposit, I now style it, class name, We also want to use grid with gap of 6, with gap of 6, grid with gap of 6, then median grid with column 2. So we're using 2 columns as well. So meaning here I'll be rendering another 2 items. So the first thing I want to render here is the deposit component space slash this. Check. You see that deposit has come in. See deposit below. And it has a placeholder where I can type what I want to deposit. So that's that. Then the next thing I want to uh, the next thing I want to render here is uh, I want to render. I've rendered the what's the name deposit. I also want to render withdrawal, but that withdrawal I want it to have a separate division. So I will now create after the deposit rendering. I'm still within the section. So I now create division. I want to specially render withdrawal. So I now say division. I assign it an ID of what? ID of withdraw. ID of withdraw. Now within that division, within the division, I rendered withdraw. I render withdraw space slash this. I rendered withdraw. Backslash division backslash session. We'll close the session. So if you come here, I have deposit and withdraw have been rendered. Now, remaining one section, which is history, user history. So I will now go out of this section. Remember, this section is for typing 2 column. So I'll now go to another section. I'll now create another section here. Section ID. The section ID I want to use here is history. It must be the same with the ID that we use in the navbar. So history. So the closing tag for the session. So here I will now render my transaction history. Here I'm rendering transaction history and self-close the tag. Can you see? Now I have close session, closing session tag. I have closing main tag, closing tag for the normal GSS or something. Then I have this, which I will break the code here. Then I have this. So I'm through with the page.css for the app. So our application is complete. You can see this is our application. And you can see it's showing 3 issues. So you can see transaction history. So wallet connect is working. Same failed to connect to wallet. This one is failing to connect to wallet. Why? Because I don't have metamask wallet. Okay, metamask wallet is present. So that means there is network error. I don't have network again. That's why connection is failing. So with this, we've come to the end of the application. What remains is for us to push. So I won't push now because of the network issue, because there is no network. I'm not having I'm not having network again. So I won't push. So meaning in the next video, we'll push to GitHub repository, we'll merge the pull request, then we'll now proceed to how to deploy the front end side to Vaze so that we can have a live URL. So this our app is working. See, can refresh, can deposit, and do all sorts of things. It's telling us please switch metamask to Sepolia. All those errors that we implement are working. See, so these are mini DeFi bots application. So we are well done. Let's check why it's throwing error in this place. It's saying error loading bot balance, error loading user balance, and blah blah blah. Okay, let's delete this. As I've closed that, if you refresh it will go. Now let me restart it in this place. npm run dev. So we refresh it will come up. So you can see it's connected. It can connect and disconnect. It's not throwing error again. So the error it was throwing before is because we were still coding. Now it's showing issue. What's the issue? Let's check. The issue is because there is no what do we call it? The issue is showing that it's because of no network. So it's trying to check for user balance, which you cannot see because it has to interact with the deploy Sepolia. Uh, it has to interact with the Sepolia wallets online on the blockchain. So you can't see it because of no network. So the error is showing is actually no error. It's because of internet. So this is it. I believe at your own leisure time, when you finish your projects, this video will be of guidance to those that still wish to continue uh, creating application on Ethereum blockchain. Uh, can you use to learn on your own? Okay. So in the next video, we'll be implementing the. I would have pushed to GitHub, but it will be failing now since there is no network. Probably maybe my data has finished or whatever, or maybe it's just network issue. So thanks for following. The next video will implement pushing to GitHub, then how to, and give us how we are going to, then to show us how we can push to Vaze so that we can have a live URL rather than starting it on local machine like this. Thank you.